When you guys were cheering more for her, I was a little bit upset. So next time, please, go for me.
When you guys were cheering more for her, I was a bit upset. Next time, please, go for me. Those words came from Aryna Sabalenka,
I love Madrid. It's an amazing tournament.
the world's #1 ranked tennis player, owner of 3 titles in 2026, holder of a 25-1 record, and the most dominant force in women's tennis this season. She delivered them not from a position of defeat, not in a moment of crisis, but seconds after winning 6-1, 6-4 on the largest court at the Caja Magica in front of a packed Madrid crowd. She had just won, convincingly, and she was still telling the audience how to feel. What makes that sentence so remarkable is not just what she said. It is who she was talking about and what was happening to that player's fans at that exact moment on the other side of the same complex. 4 days before Sabalenka uttered those words, both she and Alex Eala were in the same building in Madrid. The occasion was the 2026 Laureus World Sports Awards at the Palacio de Cibeles. Sabalenka won Sportswoman of the Year and admitted from the podium that she wanted to disappear from the stage. Eala walked the red carpet in a custom Filipiniana gown designed by her uncle, Alex Eala, a beige chiffon dress paired with a piña bolero, and told the cameras,
I've always had a dream that kind of like when I'm in a red carpet, I'll wear what's called the Filipiniana, and it's a very traditional Filipino formal wear. It's perfect.
I always had this dream. When I'm on a red carpet, I'll wear what's called a Filipiniana. And I was like, the Laureus Sports Awards? It's perfect. 2 players, same ceremony, same city. One wanting to disappear from the spotlight, one stepping into it wrapped in her nation's identity. That divergence did not stay on the red carpet. 2 days after the Laureus ceremony, on April 22nd, Eala walked onto the Arancha Sanchez Stadium, the second largest court at the Caja Magica, and dismantled former top 15 player Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova 6-3, 6-3. Representatives from the Philippine Embassy in Spain were in the stands. Filipino fans with flags and chants made themselves impossible to ignore. And when Eala grabbed the microphone for her post-match interview, she did something that immediately went viral. She shifted mid-sentence into fluent Spanish, sending the Spanish crowd into an eruption. Her 3-word declaration,
I love Madrid.
"I love Madrid," became the clip of the day. The Filipino army had arrived, the tournament was on notice, and then Madrid Open organizers made a decision that, as Tennis Head put it directly in a published editorial, gave Alex Eala reasons to be annoyed. For her second-round match against 19th seed Elise Mertens on April 24th, they scheduled her on Court 5, a minor outer court with a fraction of the capacity of the arena she had just filled with energy 2 days earlier. The Filipino fans who had traveled to Spain expressly to support her, who had flags ready and chants rehearsed, found themselves physically unable to pack the court. The tournament had not given them a court worth packing. Eala lost 2-6, 1-6. During the second set, she received a time violation warning she visibly disputed, pointing at the umpire and stating, "First of all, please let me speak. You need to give me a warning first." Even in defeat, on a court too small for the moment, she refused to be managed quietly. Here is the detail that should be burned into every frame of this story. While Alex Eala's fans were being squeezed onto Court 5, unable to surround her, unable to fill the space the way they had 2 days earlier, Aryna Sabalenka was simultaneously playing her own match on the Manolo Santana Stadium, the biggest arena at La Caja Magica. A full house, maximum capacity, every seat accounted for, and she still found the crowd's loyalty insufficient. That is not a coincidence, that is a portrait. Eala entered her Madrid campaign ranked number 44 in the world, coming off a career-high number 29 achieved in March, the highest any Filipino woman has ever climbed in WTA singles history. The Filipino fans who came to Madrid were not there because of a ranking. They were there because of something rankings cannot measure, the feeling that one of their own is rewriting what is possible. Alex Eala, her uncle, and the designer of the Filipiniana dress said it himself. They always tell me, well, now you're just Alex Eala's Tito, but I'm proud of it. An entire community had reorganized itself around this 21-year-old left-hander from the Philippines. Tournament officials scheduled her on an outer court and expected that energy to simply evaporate. It did not evaporate, it redirected into the atmosphere of the entire complex, into the general crowd energy that Sabalenka then complained about on the main stadium microphone. Now consider the pattern. This was not the first time Sabalenka positioned herself in conflict with crowd dynamics in 2026. In March, after withdrawing from the Dubai Tennis Championships due to a hip injury, she erupted publicly at tournament director Salah Tahlak when he suggested late withdrawals should face ranking point deductions. Her response was comprehensive. "I think it's ridiculous. I don't think he showed himself in the best way possible. His comment was ridiculous. I'm not sure if I ever want to go there after his comment. For me, it's too much." The player who publicly threatened to boycott a tournament over a director's tone is now, in the narrative framing circulating globally, the one being boycotted by fans. The symmetry is not accidental. It is a pattern of someone who has grown so accustomed to controlling her environment that any deviation from expectation becomes a public grievance. Then came the Bernabeu. Madrid Open organizers installed a temporary clay court inside Real Madrid's Santiago Bernabeu Stadium and organized an exhibition that became one of the viral moments of the tennis calendar. Rafael Nadal, Jannik Sinner, and Iga Swiatek all participated. Nadal's 3-year-old son took shots on the clay. Florentino Perez sat in the mock umpire chair. The whole world watched. Sabalenka declined and then in her press conference explained, "I'd like to focus on the tennis and not on those things." While 3 of her peers turned the sport into a celebration for millions of people, she stood apart, citing preparation. The decision may have been rational. The optics were unmistakable. The fan reaction to her Madrid crowd comment confirmed what many had been sensing across the season. Social media responses documented by Sportskita on April 26th included, "What a terrible person. The fans will support whoever they want." And, like, "What does she do this every time? You're the #1 in the world and favorite in every match you play. Damn, let people cheer for the underdog if they want to." And simply, "This woman is insufferable. You are not the center of WTA." The fans who had been saying this for months, who kept showing up for Eala on court 5 when the draw gave her nothing, were not overreacting. They were reading the room before the room had a name. Greg Rusedski reached the 1997 U.S. Open final. He spent 12 years inside the top 100, rising to a career peak of world #4. He has spent his post-playing career as one of the most analytically precise voices in British tennis commentary. He is not a fan. He is a professional assessor of talent. After Eala's loss to Mertens on court 5, Rusedski did not retreat into diplomacy. His assessment, delivered on the Off Court Cuts podcast and reported by Tennis 365 on April 25th, was direct. "She's too good a player, she'll figure it out. And what I like is her resilience. And if you're a fan out there, just be a little patient. It might take a little bit longer for her, but she's got a great team of people around her." A former world #4 does not invoke the word resilience carelessly. In professional tennis, resilience is the currency that separates careers that end in footnotes from careers that rewrite records. Rusedski was not consoling a fan base. He was flagging a quality he recognized, the kind that outlasts bad draws, bad scheduling, bad days, and the weight of becoming the face of an entire nation's sporting ambitions on a court 5 in Madrid. The Cage Magica decision to assign Eala to court 5 was not just a scheduling error. It was a statement about how tennis institutions still calibrate star power, and it was wrong by every available measure. The Philippine embassy attended her first match. The crowd that filled the Arancha Sanchez Stadium on April 22nd did not assemble by accident. The Filipino diaspora community across Spain, across Europe, across the Americas has organized itself into one of the most mobilized fan bases the WTA Tour has ever seen. And tournament directors are still placing that energy on outer courts because the ranking number doesn't yet command the center stage. That is about to become untenable. After Madrid, Eala moves to the 2026 Catalonia Open. where she enters as the 6th seed. Then the Italian Open, WTA 1000 with a global stage. Then the French Open in Paris, her second career, Roland Garros main draw. Each of those venues will face the same question Madrid could not answer cleanly. Where do you put a player whose fan base is bigger than her seed? Because the Filipino army is not going to Stuttgart or Rome for a holiday. They are going because she is going. Sabalenka, meanwhile, faces Naomi Osaka in the round of 16 on April 27th. Osaka carries her own continental fan base, massive Japanese support, massive Pan-Asian resonance. If the Caja Magica crowd leans toward Osaka the way it leaned toward Eala's orbit the previous days, Sabalenka will have her answer about whether Madrid is uniquely disloyal or whether she has simply been asking the wrong question all season. The loss to Mertens was not a close defeat that required frame analysis to understand. It was 2-6, 1-6, comprehensive, clear, and conducted on the smallest court the tournament offered. Eala did not pretend otherwise, but she also did not disappear into it. She is still competing in Madrid doubles alongside Zeynep Sonmez, facing the number 2 seeds. She stood at that umpire's chair on court 5 during the second set, and rather than absorbing a warning silently on a day when everything was already working against her, she looked directly at the official and said, "First of all, please let me speak." On a minor court, in a lopsided match, with her Madrid campaign ending around her, she demanded to be heard. That is not a statement about toughness, it is a statement about identity. She wore the Filipiniana on the Laureus red carpet as a quiet nod to where I come from and what I represent. 4 days later, on court 5, the nod was not quiet. It was an insistence. A Filipiniana gown at the Laureus Awards, a packed Arancha Sanchez Stadium on a Tuesday in April, an embassy delegation in the stands, a viral Spanish interview, a crowd that followed her energy even onto the outer courts of the Caja Magica, and then saturated the general atmosphere of the entire complex so thoroughly that the world number 1 felt it from the main stadium and had to ask for it back. Here is what the scoreline on court 5 cannot account for. Eala lost that match, and the story is still about her fans. Sabalenka won her match, and the story is still about her complaint. That inversion tells you everything. Crowd power, real crowd power. The kind that crosses borders and organizes at an embassy level is not a prize the tournament awarded. It was not manufactured by a marketing team. It was built by a community that decided, long before the WTA rankings caught up, that Alex Eala was worth crossing an ocean for. Every person who showed up for her in Madrid, flags out, chants ready, Philippine embassy badge on, saw something the schedule makers missed. The world is now catching up to what you already knew. What happens when Eala walks onto the clay at Roland Garros, her second career Grand Slam main draw, and the Filipino army fills the stands of a stadium that actually fits them? Drop your prediction in the comments. This story is not finished. If you want to be in the room when it reaches its next chapter, the Italian Open, Roland Garros, and every court the tour owes her, subscribe now. These are the stories that deserve to be told in full, not buried on court 5.